Hello, hockey, basketball, and soccer fans. My name is David. Thought I would start this video recording at 12:38 on the afternoon of Friday, 20th of October 2023, North American Eastern Time. In my last video, I talked about various games that had occurred earlier in the week, including a win by the Sens over the Bolts, loss by the Leafs, losses by the Leafs and Capitals, losses by the Leafs and Flames, respectively, the Blackhawks and Capitals. So let me go to some various games that have occurred since then. So definitely Wednesday Eastern Time featured only one Canadian NBA or NBA NHL team in action, Sens, having blown the Capitals out 6-1. It was a more mixed bag for the Tuesday Eastern Time game. So with the Canucks having lost to the Flyers 2-0, the Minnesota, the Habs having lost 5-2 to the Minnesota Wild, the Oilers having throttled the Preds 6-1, Kings having done the same to the Jets 5-1, and that was about it. So Thursday, games featuring Canadian teams, it was a mixed bag. Mostly losses. Flames having beaten the Sabres 4-3 in regulation. Dan Vladar having played net, having allowed a couple of ugly goals I could count. Canucks did put in a better effort, in my view. At least, putting up the points against the Bolts. But still, 4-3 regulation loss. Second straight loss of that type for the Canucks. For a Canucks team that has now put up 4 points in 4 games and beaten among NHL teams after last preseason, the Oilers. The Leafs put up a close game, emptied it very, very late in the last minute. 3-1 in favor of the Panthers. The Oilers ended up losing again, 4-1. And the Jets ended up losing 5-3 to the Golden Knights. It was an ugly one. So quite possibly we have, I know it's early in the regular season, but yeah, the Leafs they look out of it last night. You got the Panthers, and yeah. So Thursday Times, very interesting episode of the JD Bunkis podcast on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, on just why the Leafs had struggled so much against the Blackhawks the other night. Bunkis claimed that, a bit after the 24.5-minute mark of that episode, that the Leafs front office had panicked after Ryan O'Reilly, a center who had played with the Blues before the Leafs, had walked from the Leafs in unrestricted free agency over the summer, and it was just pretty much James Myrtle, senior director at The Athletic, having claimed that there had been, quote, no other centers, unquote. And that had been why, according to the Myrtle, that the Leafs had chosen to re-sign David Kampf to a multi-season contract, and, well, the rest is history. So, yeah, overall, a mumble-jumble of new players, and Leafs roster looked good early on in the preseason, but, well, the last couple of weeks have brought home a very clear message. Well, certainly the Leafs had gone this many consecutive games having allowed at least this many goals going back to preseason play. However, and going into that game in South Florida, the Leafs had gone this many games in a row having allowed at least this many goals. Now we have this many games the Leafs have played having allowed this many goals. Not sustainable, right? I mean, it's quite possible that it's also a very interesting interview of Anthony Stewart, who as recently as last season had been part of intermission coverage of games on Sportsnet. At least those played by Canadian NHL teams. It was Aaron Koronek, if I'm not mistaken, on that audio clip, who claimed to have been contractually obligated not to mention the relevant network for Anthony Stewart had been a part of. Well, why that is, I don't know, but again, I admit. TSN, there was an interview on First Up, the morning show on Toronto's TSN 1050 radio. So it may be that because TSN is owned by Bell and Sportsnet owned by Rogers, that that Koronek, or was it Koronek, mentioned, claimed to have been contractually obligated to not mention Sportsnet publicly. They mentioned the word on that audio clip. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's there's also this interview of TSN of Jay McLennan, Golden Eye Noodles, TSN Circles. He's a color commentator for Sens games on TSN, and also a co-host of TSN 1050's late afternoon Eastern Time show, Overdrive. Claimed that a lot of things have gone wrong for those Canadian teams that had lost their Thursday Eastern Time games. And, so, before the big slate of games on the weekend, we'll get to that in a moment. There'll be a couple games featured. So on this Friday evening Eastern Time, it's going to go mention for the Flames of a Flames away game against the Blue Jackets. Just going to see on what TV network it is. So I know there's a Raptors game coming up. It's going to be a simultaneous broadcast of. So I'm just going to see here. Just going to go to the TV guide and this. Alright, so we're going to go. Right, so we have so go and so on this Friday Eastern Time we have the Raptors game on some TSN channels. Sportsnet 1 carry the Flames game. So it's going to be very busy. It's going to be very big night of. It's going to be flipping between the two games. See how the Raptors do, closing out their preseason, and also going to see about the. Should be fun to watch the Flames and the Blue Jackets. Hopefully, my Raptors will win that game, the preseason game, because chemistry has been missing for the Leafs lineup. And it could very well be that for the first time since the 2015-16 NHL season, there will be no Canucks, no Oilers, no Jets, no Leafs, and no Habs in the postseason. Flames and Sens qualifying. So it's going to be interesting at least. So it's going to be a whole host of games on Saturday Eastern Time. So in terms of Canadian teams, the Sens hosting the Wings in an early afternoon Eastern Time matchup. Then we have a whole bunch of games. We'll have the Habs hosting the Caps, Leafs in an away game against the Bolts. The Canucks in South Florida face the Panthers. And we're going to see if there's anything else. Any other games down? Yes, the Oilers hosting the Jets in a rather crucial game for both teams, currently struggling with 2 points in 4 games via a win. The other games having been regulation losses for each team. So yeah, it's going to be, the Oilers have struggled to score goals. Leafs have struggled to score goals. It may be that the pressure will just grow for Brad Treliving to put some of these new acquisitions on waivers, effective relatively soon. There's a time to panic for any of the Canadian teams. I would say it isn't yet, but the Jets and Oilers are as of now are down in second last in the Western Conference, tied for with 2 points over 4 games, with the San Jose Sharks having earned just 1 point in 4 games Even the Seattle Kraken have won. So let's see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a very busy schedule on Saturday. Also, in terms of Major League Soccer on the 21st of October. It's going to be a rather important one for CF from Montreal, trying to clinch a wildcard spot. The Whitecaps have already clinched a playoff spot. Toronto FC will not be going to a postseason. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to try to watch as much of that CF Montreal game as I can. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, set to start that broadcast. I'm not sure what network we'll be on, but I'll go with that. And then we look at the Raptors. Yeah, Raptors final preseason game. And it's going to go also to, let's see here, for an early preview of games to be played on next week in the National Hockey League. So I'm going to go to oops. Alright, let me go here. No. Sorry, that. Alright, let me go back. Just give me a moment here. Alright, try to do it again. So, it's going to go an early preview of games to be taking place next week. It's going to be another, very unusually early game, 5 Eastern Time. Like I'm like in the middle of the afternoon on that. So Sunday, beat the Flames in an away game against the Wings at Little Caesars Arena. Monday, Habs be hitting the road to face Sabres. And then we have Tuesday, we have a busy slate of games. We have the Leafs in Washington to face local Capitals. The Sens hosting the Sabres. Habs hosting the Devils. And some late games have the Jets hosting the Blues. Oilers in an away game against the Wild. Canucks in an away game against the Preds. Flames hosting an away game. Hosting the Rangers. And that's it. And Wednesday next week there will be no game that features a Canadian NHL team. Well, Thursday we have the Habs hosting the Blue Jackets, Jets in an away game against the Wings. Then we have the Sens' first road game in a while against the Isles. Leafs will be in Dallas to face the Stars. Flames will host the Blues. Oilers will host the Rangers. And then we have, on Friday Eastern Time, we have the Canucks hosting the Blues. And Saturday, we have, next week Saturday, we have the Habs hosting the Jets. Sens in a away game against the Pens. The Leafs in an away game against the Preds. And Canucks hosting the Rangers. So that'll be it for that week. We're going to see also what the Raptors and what their schedule is going to be for next week. So yeah, and hopefully the lack of chemistry will sort itself out. I'm not optimistic it will. It may very well be that the Leafs will end their road trip with a 2-6, 0-0 win, regulation loss, overtime loss, shootout loss record. And what that's going to mean, likely? Last place in the Eastern Conference, and probably a big enough hole to climb out of that I see the Leafs, by then, if that worst case scenario plays out, not qualifying for a playoff spot. That's right. The others look like they're not going to qualify. And again, I figure the Habs are not going to qualify for a playoff spot. But when I look at the Leafs and Oilers, it's just shocking how poorly they played. I mean, that you know the Oilers are dead, but the Leafs are going on a road trip that could very well mean the difference between having a chance to qualify for playoffs action and having next to none. I'm not saying it's time to, you know, so figuratively speaking, throw some dynamite. Not yet. But it is time to look at those pieces and too many players not performing, and maybe that it'll be time to put them on waivers. If they can't be moved if no other team wants them, put them on waivers. See what happens. Because it may be that frees up some cap space that way. So yeah, just gonna go. So I'm gonna go to the regular season. I mean, the lack of chemistry the Leafs have is kind of like the Raptors. So I'm just gonna pull up the schedule for on ESPN. So there are 3 games next week on tap for the Raptors. So on Wednesday, home game against the Timberwolves, an away game on Friday Eastern Time against the Bulls, and a Saturday home game against the 76ers. And that's interesting. It's a back-to-back. So the Raptors will have to fly back home in a hurry. So let's see about the regular season and if there are some back-to-backs. So the next one will be host the Bucks and then hit the road to play the 76ers. So it'll be early November. And then later in the month against the Magic and Indiana Pacers. It's going to be a long travel. It's going to be a travel day. Going to be Wednesday Eastern Time. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Then an away game against the Brooklyn Nets and a home game against the Phoenix Suns. And then another one, away game against the Sixers, and a home game against the Jazz. So see how the Raptors do in those back-to-backs. I mean, if they don't win enough of those games, it could be game over in terms of the Raptors in a playoff spot. So we'll have to see what happens. In January, the Raptors can chill home, or so the Raptors have 9th and 10th of January Eastern Time against the Clippers and against Lakers and then Clippers. So they don't really have to go anywhere because it's the same arena until after this season. And then it's mid-January, have back-to-back home games. So that'll be no need to travel, just to play 2 games in a row. Then there'll be a couple games, back-to-back in February between the Oklahoma City, against the Oklahoma City Thunder and New Orleans Pelicans. Then two home games on consecutive calendar days Eastern Time against the Rockets and the Cavaliers. And then we have back-to-back in March, hosting the Thunder, but then going on the road to play the Wizards. In April, hosting the Lakers, and then playing an away game against the Timberwolves. And then the last back-to-back of the season, before, at least if there's no postseason play involved. So 9th and 10th of April, hosting the Pacers on the first of those evenings Eastern Time, and then going into New York City to play the Brooklyn Nets. So overall, it's been is definitely exciting. They're really hoping for the Raptors to see some playoff action, particularly if the Leafs don't. And the question of if the Sens could keep up the pace that they have. They've done so well so far, but I mean, once they hit the road, it could be. I mean, the cracks be exposed, and again, we'll have to see what happens, but it's going to be interesting to say the least. So on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. Please if you do like the video, please make sure to click the like button. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. And if you do, and you click the notification bell, you'll get more timely updates of videos that I put out. I try to put out videos at least every other week. On that note, I'm going to say, go Toronto FC go Raptors go Leafs go, and go Canada go.